Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, instead of out in the garage, we're in the house working on my trusty Commodore 128 behind me. As you can see, it works just fine right now, but we're going to do a little maintenance on it, specifically on the power supply. It, like all the electronics, has got electrolytic capacitors, and that's one thing that can go out on them that can end up causing you problems. And they're one of the things that just goes bad with age. So we're going to pull the power supply apart. We're going to put new caps in it, put it back together, see if it works. Okay, one of the really good things about the 128 power supply is just the fact that you can disassemble it and repair it. So we've got the cap kit here from Console 5. They sell cap kits for the computers, the power supply on this. They sell lots of cap kits. I've also got a complete kit for the monitor that I need to put in here sometime. But this one for the power supply should be pretty easy. There's 5 electrolytic capacitors in here. Now right now we just need to take the case apart. On the bottom you've got a little black screw here, which is a fuse. So if your power supply ever dies, probably check the fuse first thing. We'll put that back in place. Then you've got 4 Phillips screws to take out. Now if you see some smoke rising up there, I'm starting up a new soldering iron for the first time. I've got a little desoldering iron with the sucker built onto it. We'll see how it works. There went the 4th screw. And once you've got the bottoms off like that, you can lift this up. You'll have to wiggle it a little bit because the transformer was stuck to the little spacer pad there. And we got that up and out of the way. Set it aside. And that looks like it gives us 2 screws down here on the bottom. One there and one there. We've got another Phillips screw here that's holding the top of this heat sink down. That was just held on by some adhesive, so gently pry it out. When I put this back together, we'll put more heat compound on those 2. And that exposes our capacitors. 3 big ones there, 1 small one there, 1 small one there. To make this a little easier to maneuver around, I'm going to take the wires off of the fuse. Just so we can get this cover out of the way. Okay, what we got are the 3 big ones here, 1 small one there, and then another small one tucked right up against the transformer. So what I'm going to do is make a sketch out of where all the stripes are on the 3 big capacitors. We'll get those pulled out. Then we'll change that little one by the transformer, and then we'll do that other little one last. I'm going to sketch it out. That way I make sure I get them back in the right position. All right, we'll see how well this new solder sucker works. It's not the kind that's got the motor driven. It's a vacuum. That worked pretty slick. Okay, it looks like the capacitor is completely loose except for some adhesive. The connections are clean. And just got some glue on the PCB. And there we go. That thing, I think it was cheap off Amazon. There's the first one. We'll set them out in order. I'll do these one more time in case there's some on the other side. Still sticking. Clean solder break. Just glue on the PCB. The last one here, I haven't desoldered it yet. It should be those two there. Perfect. So that's got the three big ones out. There's no traces on this side of the PCB, so I didn't pull anything loose. So now we need to take out the small one down in there. This next to the transformer. Figure out which two contacts it is. Man, this makes desoldering so much easier. Gotta be careful, they had it glued to the coil next to it. But it came out. We will match this up with one in the kit. See, it came out right down in there. And it is this one right here. Make sure its polarity's right. Now this is probably the trickiest one, just because it's in a bad location. There we go. Push that on down. And it's in place. Now, I probably should have had my regular soldering iron turned on. So now I've got to wait for it to heat up. You can see there where the long wires are. That's where that came out. Solder that in place. We'll snip them off and be ready to move on to the other three. Let's solder this pad down. And that's the first one. So we'll do the one next over this direction. 4700. 10 volt, 4700. Okay, here's the replacement for this one. Positioning it right. Positive, negative, down on the board. Now, snip, snip, and next one over. 3,300. Okay, these next two are the same. Yep. All right, so just got to make sure to get them in the right direction. And they are both pointing toward the transformer. The circuit board is marked positive and negative. Slide that in. Push that down. These new ones are a little skinnier and taller, but they'll work just great. Last big one. Down to the last one. And that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th pair. 2, 3, 4, 5. fifth pair. Those two there. Now this desoldering iron works sweet. For what it is, it's great. I will definitely put a link to where I bought it off Amazon in the description. Okay, got that one out. Let's double check, make sure it's right. Yeah, I've always used desoldering braid, or I've had a little. It sucks the same way as that, but you use a soldering iron and then you put that on it. Try to suck the solder up, and it just, you have to be really quick. Time it just perfect. Your aim's got to be right. That just makes it so much easier. I really need to put my power strip on this side. We'll get all the more electronic stuff I do, the better I'll get at this. All right. That is all of the caps. Okay, before I go and put the solder the fuse back together, I'm going to clean the heatsink compound off these two, assume they're the voltage regulators, and the heatsink. And we'll get that put back on first. Now that that's all cleaned off, we'll apply some new paste. Okay, we got the heatsink back on there. So now we can solder the wires back onto the fuse and put the case back together. Okay, it's all back together. Last thing I'm going to do is plug it in and check the voltages. Make sure everything looks good before I plug it back into the computer. All right, we're going to plug this in, see what happens. Didn't let any smoke out. That's always a good sign. Since the power supply is sitting there not smoking or anything, we'll go ahead and check the voltages at the connector. Yeah, I looked it up, and this pin to this pin is your 5-volt DC. Your ground is here, and then you connect this one and the center one together, and that gives you your 9-volt AC. So let's check, see what we're getting. 5.21 DC, so we're good. AC, we're running 10.29. Now I double checked that. That's a little bit high, but still acceptable. The AC is coming, it's tapped right off of the transformer. So there's really, you know, it's working. And it's probably as close as it's going to get. And that's a no load voltage. So I'd say we're good, ready to plug it in and fire the computer up. Before I headed up to plug it in the computer, I thought I'd show you some future projects. Now this is the Commodore 128 capacitor kit from Console 5, and there's a handful of stuff in there, a lot more than the power supply, so that'll be fun installing. But then we get to the 1084 monitor. That is a bunch of capacitors, but it needs to be done, so that'll be one of the future videos. We'll be putting that in. All right, it's all back together. Power supply's hooked up. Let's see if it comes on. Looks good. With the voltages reading right, I really didn't expect any problems out of it. For future videos, we've got several things I want to do on the computers. This Commodore 128, we're going to upgrade the VDC, the video display chip memory, from the 16K that it came with to 64K. Also got a PCB we're going to put together to replace the RF modulator. That way we'll have S-video output, some other stuff like that on it. I've also got a 1571 disk drive that's quit on me. We'll be working on it. Got a couple of Commodore 64s. One's black screen, the other one I haven't tried yet, so we'll be repairing those. I've also got to do a capacitor replacement on the 128 and on the 1084 monitor there. That's the only other video I've done on the computers, was putting a switch in the monitor, and it's all still working good. After editing the video, I want to change up the way I do this. I think I'm going to get an above view of what I'm doing on the circuit boards, so you can see better what's going on. So I'll try to improve these videos as I go. This is the first one actually working on a circuit board, so bear with me. I'll try to get better. I'll catch you on the next video, and thanks for watching.